Hi again, and welcome again. My phone just said something weird, so I had to take a look at that real quick. So that weird pause happened. Okay, we are back. Last week the episode was about boundaries, and I did kind of sort of cut that episode short because I was going through something, and I'm still going through something. Yep, it is October 4th, and we just had that eclipse new moon mess in Libra a couple days ago, and we are still going through that energy if you're into stuff like that. So let me know how y'all is how y'all is feeling, because I'm crying still. I just got done crying like 30 minutes ago, and I remember telling myself I wanted to start this at noon because if I start any later than that, I'm not gonna have the balls to do it. And by balls I mean the energy at all. I've been crying, and I don't know. We'll get to the episode in a second because it's going to be super duper short because we're talking about the types of boundaries, and then the rest is probably just going to be me running my mouth. Because like I said last week, this podcast was more of like a diary, which I don't know. Maybe a little like a diary, but it's mainly to hold myself accountable. And I've been noticing that while going through these episodes and going through learning about authenticity and what all of that entails, I realized there was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I don't know yet. There's a lot of stuff I don't know how to do yet. And even though I am where I am in my life, I just feel like maybe it's also because I've changed, but there's just so many things that I didn't even know that I wanted, so many things I didn't even know that I could do. Um, and part of it's because I've always been told what to do, so I'm comfortable with that. But now that there's now that there's nobody here really to tell me that, I don't know what to do with myself. So there's that. I'm going through something. We're uncovering stuff. We're clearing some mental clutter and some mental and emotional baggage, and energetic and spiritual too. So there's that. But yeah. So another short episode because I've been crying. And I, I feel bad too because I feel like I tell people all the time, I cry a lot, and I be crying for weeks. And I mean, I will cry 2-3 days out of the week, and then the next week I'm crying 3-4 days, and then the week after that I only cried once, and it was because I saw a sad movie, But all the other times I was crying because I was overthinking, and I was, trying to unravel this and unravel that, and go through trauma and figure out what PTSD I have, figure out how to make my brain work the way that I wanted to, figure out how I want my life to be done, and all types of other shit. I don't know. I just be going through stuff. And I don't really ever know how to explain it to people or even really feel comfortable explaining it to people because I do feel like they judge you a lot. But like I said, I'm going through these episodes and seeing these things pop up that I'm like, damn, you gotta do that to be authentic. Shit, I didn't even think that. I must have been fake this whole time because I didn't know any of that. When truth be told is I think I just learned brand new stuff about myself that again I didn't know I was okay with, and I didn't know I wasn't okay with. I just thought because that's what people told me to do I should be doing. And I mean pretty much anybody. So like it's weird but also clear, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It brings some sort of clarity to me in either way, really showing me the things that I want and what I don't want, what I know how to do and what I don't know how to do, and what I'm still being afraid of. And let me tell you something, I am still afraid of a lot. But working through these episodes has really gotten me closer to putting together a more, I guess, practical plan for me to explore with what my own authenticity is. Um, and I say that because I'm so used to procrastinating and so used to just keeping it in my head and just thinking about it and then doing something else to distract me from that, that I never truly get to the bottom of a lot of things, which is why, again, I spend a lot of time alone, and I spend a lot of time crying because I'm just like, I'm my brain is so cluttered with stuff that really don't even matter, that it just causes this constant mental anguish. Okay, I guess I'll put it like this. If you are into tarot, it's definitely like a lot of Nine of Swords energy, a lot of tower energy, just constantly in my head. And it makes for so much emotional turmoil that I end up feeling like there's just no way out. Like I just have to sweep it under the rug and ignore it until it comes back up again, and then it feels twice as worse. So we can't do that shit no more, because I see now where it's keeping me from being authentic, where it's keeping me from really being myself, where it's keeping me from really showing people I'm a fucking crybaby, bro. Like I get on my own nerves with how much I be crying. But I know that for me personally, it's necessary. Just like it's necessary for me to have the type of boundaries and the type of people in my life who will understand that, and not just understand that, but appreciate it and nourish it. And those types of people are very hard to find, because people really are very judgmental, and they're not even really that in tune with their own emotions. So when they see somebody emoting too much, they're like, "Ugh, I don't like that. That's a no. We don't talk about Bruno." That's kind of the energy that it keeps, though. But anyway, jumping back on to the episode. Thank y'all so much for joining me today on my journey to authenticity, as I go through and unplug what is authentic, or wait, what is authenticity and what it means to me and to other people. Like I said, last week we talked about boundaries. I did not go into what types of boundaries there were, but I did go into how boundaries help, what they provide for you in relationships, what they could do for you, and how they relate to authenticity. And today we will be talking about types of boundaries, because I actually did not know. Like, I know what they are, but I didn't really know. I wonder if I put this in the last episode. So I've been asking ChatGPT a lot of questions, right? Just AI, period. And one of the questions that I asked were, wait, what was it? Like, okay, so I guess I'll use the what happened to me earlier today as an example. But earlier today, I've been getting a lot of, oh my God, I'm all over the place, huh? I have been getting a lot of um I don't like to say downloads anymore. Signs, signals, confirmation from my spirit team as a whole. I mean, and even just in my dreams, I think. But my spirit team as a whole, that I need to let go of some shit from the past. But I mean, like, who doesn't? You know what I'm saying? However, these things have become so specific that I'm a little freaked out. And I shouldn't be, because this is not the first time that this has happened. But a lot of it had to do with me letting go from stuff in the past in order for me to clear up some mental space, so that I can fill that mental space with the things that I know that I'm supposed to have. And I know that the things that I know I deserve and are coming to me. Um, but I'm so focused on dealing with the way that people I loved hurt me back then, that I don't know how to move on from that. So a lot of the things, like literally verbatim, let go of past hurts, let go of past pain, let go of past heartbreak, has been like constantly coming up. And anyone who knows me know I'm not romantically involved with a lot of people at all. I keep myself distanced from that. I mean just like family relationships, friendships, business relationships. I ghost a lot of people because I'm so scared of them finding out how much of a crybaby I am, stuff that, I've done and I've said in the past, the way that I've treated people in the past, the way that I've gone about my life and moved in the past. Like, I get worried about stuff like that because I am afraid that people are going to be like, oof, that's too much darkness for me. I'm just going to have to go ahead and bow out. And, even though I have pieces of me from then, now I am not that same person. So it's just kind of negative reinforcement when you start to be yourself in front of somebody a little bit and they end up being like, yikes, don't do that. But anyway, I ended up asking ChatGPT, like, because all of these questions pop in my head at once. Let go of past hurts. What does that mean? And I cried about it earlier because I was like, it always feels like when I ask these questions, just like when I asked, what is authenticity? It always seems like I end up having this like this waterfall, what? This waterfall of questions that just, it's almost like it's a faucet. You turn it on a little bit and then it kind of drips, drips, drips. And then once you're like, I wonder what happens if I turn it some more. Here I am asking another question and you've got like, you just opened up a power washer in your faucet and you're like, shit, what do I do with this? Like, I don't know how to control any of this. And that's how I felt. It just, it ends up becoming so mentally exhausting for me that I ignore it. So in this case, I was like, I don't have anybody that I could talk to right now that I can ask these questions because I don't even know if people really feel like this. I don't know if they go through this too. So I was just like, you know what? Go ask a non-judgmental robot. And that's what I did. And I thank you, AI. I never like to hurt your feelings. So even though you are a robot, you still mean something to me. So I went and I did that and I asked a non-judgmental robot that knows nothing about me. And I asked it literally, what does it mean to let go of past hurts? Because like I said, for some reason, it just feels like whenever I ask a question like that, it's almost as if I'm learning English for the first time and I don't know what that means. So I'll look at it, letting go. What is it? What do you mean by that? What does that mean? You mean like, what do you mean? And then I'm like, of past hurts. Hurts, like like what? What do you mean? Mental pain, physical pain, emotional pain? What does that mean? What do you mean by past? Past hurts. What does that mean? And that's just how my brain thinks about it because I'm like, I don't know what that means to me for real. All they are to me are just words. And then I asked ChatGPT, I was like, what does that mean? How is it supposed to look? Are you supposed to verbally forgive the people? Can you just do that behind the scenes? Do you like, I had so many questions and I was just like, what does it look like? What does that mean? Do you have to like what is like I just had so many and right now I can't even remember the questions and there were like six in a row and I just asked them as one huge paragraph and I mean it helped a lot. So it really did start to help me think. Like a lot of that is forgiveness, and that might be something, not might, that is gonna be something that I know I'm gonna cross. Like that's gonna, Jesus, that's a bridge that whoa, Jesus. Okay. Future problem for future Sasia. Right now, we're focusing on what past hurts were. And it just gave me so much. It gave me a lot of insight as to questions that I was asking myself. They weren't completely like stupid and nonsensical. They are something and they do mean something and I'm not wrong in asking them. And I got answers that are definitely helping. It just I'm going to have to cry more about them after this episode. But in that I had learned that I really do need particular boundaries with particular people all the time because of how much I tend to to overthink and hold in because of how much I tend to ignore and just kind of want to cover up and make look pretty, make things look pretty because I don't want people to know really what's going on beneath the surface. And with that, I'll go ahead and just get to this episode because I really am running my mouth. But it did help me take a look at different types of boundaries and what that can mean to me, because the thing that popped up in my head was, damn, I need mental boundaries from people, don't I? Did not know that that was a thing. I need mental boundaries with myself. Hence the overthinking, that Nine of Swords energy that I said earlier. Oh, I guess I should say what that means really. For people who are not into cards, you should really take the time to Google Nine of Swords and Tower energy. But I will tell you what the Nine of Swords says in one of my favorite tarot things. See, I was pulling cards myself, and I'm about to listen to a reading from Rosology. I don't know if anybody out there watches her, but Spirit knows that I get my messages from her. I don't know what it is, but the way that she delivers them is perfect. I have other tarot readers on YouTube. Cause I used to subscribe to her Patreon. This has nothing to do with nothing, but I mean, I love her and I do think people should know more about her. But I listen to other people on YouTube, like 303 High Priestess and Vanessa Somina, and I don't know, for some reason, their messages really just don't, like, I don't always receive them where I'm like, oh, I know exactly what that is. I know exactly. I have an inkling and I'm like, okay. But for some reason, Hazel, like, I don't know. And I know God gave her a gift, but God also gave me a gift, because when she says it, I'm just like, I feel it literally physically sometimes in my body where I'm like, whoa. And I'm clairaudient. So sometimes I'll be doing something in the background just to like have it on. And I'll be doing something and then my ears won't hear nothing but want, 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 want. And then all of a sudden it'll pick something up and I'll rewind it and it's exactly what I needed to hear at that time. So like I I I love pulling cards. I love having readings because I love writing stuff down and then getting back to it and being like, where was the correlation with all of this and how I was feeling or how I was thinking? So moving on. Nine of Swords energy. This is what my tarot deck says in it. It is this nine? Okay, that's 10 of Swords. Okay, nine. The meaning, upright, because that's how I always get it, is a slave to mental agony, obsessive compulsive thinking, wakefulness and distress, anxiety over self-worth, guilt and shame over who you are, feeling like a failure, and worry and stress. And God damn it, if that ain't me on a daily basis, and I do mean on a daily basis, which is why I'm going through all of this right now, which is why I'm focusing on this journey of authenticity and trying to hold myself accountable, because I'm tired of feeling that mess. I don't want it. And therein lies where I need to have mental boundaries with myself, which is something else that I learned from ChatGPT, by the way. Instead of focusing on how people from my past who I thought cared for me didn't support me, didn't love me, or, just didn't like blindly tell me, I support you no matter what. If you need anything, like, let me know. Or if you want to bounce ideas, let me know. You know what I mean? Instead of focusing on how somebody was not there for me, somebody didn't care about my feelings, somebody didn't reciprocate how I wanted it to be reciprocated, I need to focus on something else. And that would be my mental boundary to myself. So a mental boundary was something that I just learned that you may need. You may need to keep your thoughts and opinions private, not letting others know your thoughts or your beliefs, or not even letting not even letting other people's thoughts or beliefs influence you. You maintain your own perspective. Don't Part of me is telling, I mean, all of this is to myself, but it's also to other people. Damn, really should not have done that before, because I'm just all over burping. Excuse me. But that's something that I feel like I'm telling to myself, but other people, is just Don't let other people's perspectives sway you so easily. How the type of person that I am, really, Pisces stellium. Well, I mean, eh, a lot of Pisces in the third house will say that. Because it's also in my Lilith, but I don't know if people consider that a stellium because it's my moon and my Mercury and then Lilith. I don't know if that's a stellium for real. But anyway, um, when I think about it, it's just people are able to give me their perspective on stuff. And I am able to look at that perspective and say, oh, I can see it from that way too. Then that must mean that that's the way that I see it. When in reality, it's kind of not. Just because I can understand how somebody can look at something that way, I can completely change my perspective and say, okay, I could see how red can also, first of all, red is my favorite color, so let's not use that. I could see how also green can be a pretty color to look at. Even though I don't like the color green, I know that there is a specific type of green that I find pretty. So it's just like, you can have a different perspective, but that's not to say that green is an ugly or hideous color. And that's not to say that green has now become my favorite color, because it hasn't. But, I'm capable of changing, you know, my perspective to see somebody else's, but still remaining, I guess, firm in my own, still knowing that, yes, I can see it from your way, but this is mine. This is how it makes me feel. This is what I'm sticking to because this is what works better for my life. You know what I mean? So those type of that is something that I learned, that I'm just like, damn, I have to draw boundaries with myself now. Like, I mean, but I knew that, but I didn't. Mental in my head, I can't run from myself in my head. And yo, so now I gotta cry about that after this episode and figure out what the fuck a mental boundary looks like to me. I mean, even though, like I said, ChatGPT helped me out, so I got a few practical actions that I can actually actively do instead of thinking about, because that's my problem. I feel like I think about it and then I still end up thinking, so it's just like this, it's a hamster wheel. But now I have acted, like I can actively do something, like a practical, tangible action that I can do. I can go put my feet in the dirt for once. But I can do almost anything. I can focus on, my future and the things that I was focusing on, and focus on cannabis, learning more about that. I can focus focus on learning more about how to grow my own tomatoes and grow my own cucumbers and in a little apartment. You know what I mean? I can learn more about other things that I enjoy instead of focusing on, well, I can't do this and I can't do that because this person hurt my feelings. It's like, girl, how about you focus on your knees because your ankle's been hurting? And literally, I wrote that shit in my journal too because that's what my brain told me. And then I started laughing about it and I was like, ha 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 ha. I am funny to me. But yes, and there we go. Look at me learning how to give a mental boundary to myself, because didn't know that had to exist. And now that I know that it exists, I know that it's something that I need to do for me personally. Other boundaries could be like physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, time boundaries, material, um uh digital. Digital was another one that I'm like, I don't think people recognize. Get your ass off Instagram. Get your ass off TikTok. Get off Pinterest. Get off of X. That's what it's called now, right? Not Twitter. We don't say that no more. Get off of Facebook. Get off of that. Get off of your fucking phone for 15 minutes. It's really not that hard. I promise you. You can put on music, but not on your phone. Don't do it on your phone. Put on a radio. Put on your TV and turn on Spotify. Put on YouTube. Turn on a YouTube playlist that you made. But get off your phone. Like, just go stare at the sky. Go wonder how many stars you can go count. Go and see how many leaves fall off of that tree. Like, go get off, because you're focusing way too much on the stuff that other people are doing because you don't want to focus on the shit that you should be doing. And again, that's kind of sort of a little note to myself, because I notice myself doing that as well. When I go through my digital wellness on my phone and I see how much time I spent on Instagram, like one day where it was, I spent 5 minutes on it. And I think I even had a week where there were weeks way back when where I only had an hour worth of Instagram for the whole week because I just didn't feel the need to be on Instagram. And then I go cut to now where I ain't got shit else to do but focus on shit that ain't got nothing to do with me. I see how much I'm on Instagram. And I'm just like, okay, you need to stop that because you're trying to ignore. You do the same thing that you do with weed, like you're trying to ignore something. You do the same thing that you do with when you're trying to constantly watch TV and you're always like um reading and you're always ignoring stuff. You're trying to ignore stuff. You're trying to purposefully not look at something that's difficult for you to look at. And you need to stop that. You need to go ahead and give yourself an hour a day, maybe 4 hours a week. You need to stop being on it so much, looking at other people's pages, looking at because the thing is that I don't look at people's pages where it's like FOMO per se, where someone's like in Cancun. I don't follow pages like that. I follow spiritual pages. So I'm constantly looking at stuff that, oh, how you may have repressed anger, traditional Chinese medicine, recipes, because I'm trying to cook. Like I'm looking at all types of stuff that I know that, is entertaining to me, but I'm not really going a step further and doing those somatic healing exercises that I saw in that one post, or going through my spirituality folder and looking at it and being like, oh yes, that's right. That was the set of affirmations that I wanted to set up from, you know what I mean? I'm not doing that. So what am I doing? I'm wasting my time is what I'm doing. Just like I'm wasting my time now. But actually, it's not a waste of time, but I digress. Material boundaries. This is another thing that I've had issues with because I can't say no to people. Material boundaries. If somebody, okay, there's one, this is, I don't want to say this is a definition of who I am because that was in the past and I am trying to fix that, but this is kind of a clear indicator as to what I'm working with. In the 5th grade, crazy, right? There was this girl that I had gotten 2 erasers from my teacher because I answered questions right, and they were prizes. So I was like, "Hey, look at me, I'm smart, and I don't feel dumb about being smart." Um, well, I got my 2 little erasers and I really loved them. I really wanted to keep them. I wasn't going to use them because, those types of decorative erasers are shitty. Like they don't erase nothing. And if you even try to use them, you mess up the eraser. Well, this girl came on the bus. She was like, oh my, don't even know this girl from nowhere. She just got on the bus, sat next to me and was like, I really like your eraser. Can I have it? And I was like, oh, I didn't want to tell her no because I wanted the both of them because I was like, oh, well, I got the both of these, and I was uh gonna give one to a friend. And she was like, but you have 2. And I was like, yeah, but this one is for my friend. She said, well, I mean, you can just tell them that you lost it. And I was like, yeah, I guess. Here you go. I did not want to get that girl my eraser. I didn't have no friend that eraser was for. Bitch, I wanted to be greedy about the trophies that I got. I wanted to keep my goddamn trophies. But I could not tell. And again, I stressed the fact that I did not know this girl. I didn't have no classes with her. I think we had only seen each other ever on the bus. I did not know this girl. She was not a friend of mine. And yet, for some reason, I felt like I could not tell her no. And I gave it to her. And I actually cried about it because I was like, I can't believe that I did that. And the thing was, it wasn't because I gave her the eraser per se. It was because I allowed somebody to make me feel like I needed to give them something that I didn't want to. And my other friend at the time who was like, Saja, again, I've always dealt with people in my life that are always, why are you crying? Damn, because I want to cry. Shit, because I don't know how to fix this problem. And I don't need nobody like you telling me that crying is bad. But anyway, she was like, why are you crying? And I'm like, well, I told her the story and she was like, oh my God, come on. She went to that girl. She said she gave you a eraser yesterday, didn't she? And the girl was like, yeah, but it's mine. She gave it to me. And she was like, well, she doesn't want to. She wants it back. So the girl just looked at me and looked at her and was like, okay. And took the eraser off the pencil, gave it to my friend. And my friend was like, here. And I was like, thank you. I remember that like it was yesterday because I was like, how come I couldn't do that? And therein was more negative reinforcement to me to prove to myself it's because I'm weak. So like I got a lot of very deep rooted issues that span very, very young. So using all of these things to as an adult where I'm just like, I ain't got no type of boundaries. I, I'm learning. And I was like, damn, it's easy to tell people, no, I don't want to let you borrow this. I like deciding whether or not to lend somebody your personal item or giving it to them or setting limits on financial support is another one. Stop overextending yourself. Like protecting your own resources. Like I said, those were my trophies. I wanted to keep those. Those were some of the things, again, I have this wound with my intelligence. I was like, that was something that I got that proved to me in that moment that I actually am smart. And like when I gave that away, it almost felt like I gave that power away. It almost felt like I gave that achievement away because I didn't have anything else tangible in front of me telling me that I was smart. So when all of that is in there, I'm just like, yo, like it's okay if I wanted to protect that because it belonged to me. So like a material boundary would be not letting somebody borrow a sweater because you've seen how they take care of their stuff. I have somebody like that in my family as well. Like I love her, but sometimes I'd be like, yeah, this is why I don't let you borrow stuff. It's because back in the day, and I'm realizing now that it's just like it does have to be a boundary, but I also have to recognize like, yes, I am okay with this person borrowing like a lip balm, but no, I'm not okay with this person borrowing my lipstick. You see what I mean? Like it's okay for me to say that. It's okay for you to say that. It's okay for you to give somebody a time boundary by saying, hey, after 7 o'clock, I don't really like talking to people. I don't really like going out. I don't really like doing this and that. And yet, for some reason, I still find shit like that hard. Like I feel like now that I'm looking at what makes me feel comfortable and what doesn't make me feel comfortable, I have to have a lot of boundaries with people because I don't think people can handle the real me. And I know I say that making it sound like, oh my God, no. I mean, I just don't want to be put through the stress of being embarrassed by the real me by trying to be the real me in front of everybody. So the real me is going to have to give particular boundaries because I'm a very particular person and I'm a very particular taste of person. So people are going to have to they're going to have to get with that. And they're going to have to get with that whenever I decide that I can either relax or strengthen those boundaries as such. I can reinforce those boundaries. I can take it a step further and say, you can't call me past 8, and then change it with the person to say, you can't call me at all. And that person gonna have to be okay with it because it is what it is. And I don't have to explain myself. I shouldn't have to explain myself. I shouldn't have to. That person should just be like, okay, well, I'm assuming that I must have done something. And granted, they can ask if they are truly curious. I tend to, again, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen people ask because they're truly curious, which is what keeps me ghosting people. I've mostly seen people be like, oh, so you just don't care about me? Oh, so me giving this boundary is about you. Nah, babe, it's about me. And that's the problem that people have. I mean, I even have that problem. So we take it so personally that this person is saying, you are not allowed to cross this line in the sand. You just can't do it. Because if you do it, there will be repercussions. And, everybody assumes that that's some sort of challenge to like see who's got the strongest of wills. But, neither here nor there. It's just when you're deciding whether or not that, you should have a time boundary with someone, for me personally, I really have to sense how much energy I have to dedicate to that person and that cause. I have to figure out if I'm capable of dedicating this time to a group of people. If they're inviting me out with a group of people, I have to recognize how much energy I'm ready to dedicate. Because you just use like 50% of my reserves crying about some lesson that I just learned. or crying out of happiness. Cause I do that a lot too. I cry when I just look at my life and how far I've come, and I'm just like, damn. And then I cry about the opposite part of that where I'm like, I haven't gone far enough. So like catch 22 for me. Is that a catch 22? Can you say that? I don't know. But it's like I have to figure out, am I work is another one too. Damn, I thought this was gonna be a short episode. Running my mouth. Work is another one too, where you have to figure out. Personally, I'm not trying to give my life to a 9 to 5. I don't want to work for nobody ever again, because I don't feel like people who are out there in the mundane world, in like the workforce, I don't think they understand like mental health at all. I don't think they understand those types of boundaries. Big gulp of water. I don't think people like that understand, especially for people like me. I, again, need a lot of alone time to filter through some of these things, because my mind just be taken over. And it does a lot of that stress is caused by me, but learning how to deal with it and then having to go through that emotionally tires me out physically. Like, after I get off of this, I'm gonna go cry. I'm gonna go smoke first. Then I'm gonna go cry some more. I'm gonna journal a little bit, and I'm probably gonna take a nap at around 2:30. And I'm gonna shoot for 1:30, because I know me. Um, I'm gonna need a nap. I'm gonna need a nap after it, because I need to give myself the boundary. Hello, okay, you can cry about it now. You're figuring it out. Go ahead and release that emotion. Go ahead and release the fact that you're proud of yourself for figuring it out. Go ahead and cry about the fact that you're proud of yourself for giving yourself an answer, for finding the answers, for now seeing a new path. And now you need to relax. And I swear to you, sometimes I feel like I need to sleep for 2 days after feeling this, especially when it's like the eclipse going on. And I'm ugh, I'm learning, and I'm also frustrated at the same time. So we're we're on a journey. We got to think like that. This is an adventure, and we're going through all the ups and downs of the adventure. I can't say we're having fun right now, because this doesn't seem like the most fun part, but you got to be grateful for where you are. You have emotional and physical boundaries as well. Now, obviously, emotional boundaries, deciding to share about your feelings, choosing not to take responsibilities for others, or deciding how much to share about your feelings. Actually, like, again, me, big oversharer, big talker. And sometimes I have like, and I have a tattoo dedicated to this, two sides to me, and they're both extremes. I am either not telling anyone anything about what I'm doing, just like hints of stuff here and there, or I am completely oversharing to the point to where people are like, hey, 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 calm down now. I've learned a lesson not to do that, but because I don't know how to balance that with like my over talking with the not talking, I end up not talking to people. And I've had a couple of my friends already be like you can come and talk to us, and in my head I'm like, "Oh my god, thank you." But my heart says, "Girl, don't do that. You know better. Don't do that. You know better. We've been through this before." And I'm like, "But no, what if, so I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Like, emotional boundaries are also choosing to not take like like, you know what I mean, responsibilities for other people's emotion. Like, it's not your responsibility to be somebody else's emotional regulator. It's not your responsibility to take that emotion onto you. That coming from somebody who internalizes things, like I hella internalize stuff. And so now I have to set limits on my emotional labor. Again, the same with time. How much of my emotional energy can I give to this situation? Can I give to this person? Can I give it this time with everything that I'm going through, and still come out feeling like a well balanced person? So you have to set emotional boundaries for those moments when you're like, I don't know if I can hear you complain about the same issue that you've been having with whatever issue it is, fill in the blank. When I'm sitting here doing this shit by myself behind the scenes 24/7, and right now because I chose to do that. Okay, cool. But right now, I am so not here in the mental and the emotional capacity that you need me to be in. I can't be here at all. And you have to like, I don't know if you have to tell those people, but sometimes that's where I get, like I said, I get a little hesitant because I'm so used to people like, your boundaries don't mean anything. And that's why I'm just like, damn, you're right. So I'm again figuring that mess out, which is why I have to get off and go ahead and cry about it. And the other one is physical boundaries. Oh my God, I completely forgot about sexual boundaries. Those are obvious too. But physical boundaries. So physical boundaries, here's something that I want to do with my kids too. So physical boundaries, like if my kids don't want to go and hug a relative, I'm not going to say, go and hug your aunt. I'm not going to tell them to do that. I'm gonna just be like, would you like to give your aunt a hug? And if they're no, then I'm gonna be like, okay, if you want, you can give them a hug later. And if you don't want to, then you don't have to. Because again, me as a child, especially a shy one who was always a people pleaser, and I could not stand letting down an adult. Like whenever my mom was like, um, go and give your grandmother, go and give your grandfather, go give them a hug, go give them a kiss, go. I'm just like, okay. And even though it made me feel so uncomfortable, because I was like, ew, because sometimes even physical touch for me is kind of like, ugh. So, which is weird because physical touch is also a love language of mine. But sometimes I'm just like, please don't. I think it's an energetic thing. I might have to deep dive into that. That might be an energetic thing for me too, and something that I ended up like not wanting, but I give anyway. Like I give people hugs now. I'm a little bit more comfortable with it now that I've grown, but I used to hate doing it as a kid. But physical boundaries, like personal space, like touch preferences, you don't need, if someone's like, rubbing your arm and they rub it too much and it starts to feel like it's burning, you could say, hey, I don't know, it's starting to feel a little uncomfortable now, but can you hold my hand instead? Especially if you still want physical contact, but you just don't want the rubbing of the arm, that sort of thing. Like you can tell somebody, nah, I'm not feeling that. I don't really want to do that. Not right now, at least, or not at all. And then that should be something that's understandable to you. Again, like I said, that's still kind of something that I kind of sort of have, but don't. Because I do love hugging people. And I do love when they give me hugs, but there are times where I'm just like, oh, I don't want to touch anybody. And I'm still working on times where I'm figuring out as to maybe why I do that, or if there is a reason, excuse me, or how I can better tell somebody like, I just don't want physical touch right now, without me feeling like I'm an asshole, or without automatically feeling like I have to defend my position, because that's just kind of where I come from. And then last but not least would be sexual boundaries. So of course, like consent, comfort levels with different activities, discussing preferences, limits with partners, especially if you're in the I think this should be like even in a vanilla life, like for people who don't do spicy things, but for people who are into kink and into BDSM, that's basically what the entire relationship is built off of. It has to be built off of those boundaries. It has to be built off of that trust and that consent and that understanding that those preferences and that those limits that that person has is completely up to them to decide what to do with. So learning about it in that aspect, before even knowing about these other types of boundaries, I was like, we could use that everywhere, because in truth, we can use that everywhere. You can, decide to tell somebody, hey, because if you think about it only in the sexual way, yes, you should also be able to say, don't do that to my body, yes, do that to my body, Same when I'm thinking about it in time. Don't do that to my time. Yes, do that to my time. You know what I mean? You should be able to say those things and somebody be like, oh, yes, I completely understand, because those other boundaries that you have are also a part and extension of yourself, because it is you showing your authentic self. It is you learning who is a safe space to be your authentic self. And that is where I will actually end this episode. I know that sounds super duper abrupt, but I have gone on for like 20 minutes longer than I wanted to in this episode, because like I said, I likes to run my mouth. And with that, I'll just leave a couple of tips. Obviously these things are, for you, but they're also for
the other person, of course. Wait, did I say that right? Well, you know what I mean in both ways. And some of the best tips to kind of help out with that, especially if you're someone like me who just seems like it's an impossible task because you've never seen it done before, which is why I'm constantly asking ChatGPT questions. You know what? I should probably get on YouTube and see what other people say, like how that looks to them. And I should probably hit up some people that I ghosted back in the day and be like, yeah, I know I was going through some things. I'm still going through some things. Kendrick Lamar. Don't do drugs, kids. Well, do the good ones. But I just want to know, I just want everyone to know that if you are like me and you're not used to stuff like that, you're not used to it being like practiced in front of you or demonstrated or like shown, some tips that I have been reading so far is it's not easy, but to start small is the best. Like build gradually has come up like 3 or 4 times. Practicing self-compassion is another one that's super duper important because you're going to have to tell yourself it's not, you're not to blame for wanting to set these boundaries, but sometimes neither is the other person. Sometimes these boundaries are not about blaming someone or making someone wrong or right. A lot of the times it's just about making sure that you are safe. You are protected, and that you are capable, and you are, I'm looking for a word and I cannot find it. You are, what's the word? Like you're entitled to say yes to something that makes you feel good and no to something that doesn't make you feel good, and maybe to something that's kind of like, I might be able to look at that in about a year or two and say, okay, we can talk about this. We can say these things. We can tell each other this. We can do that. We can heal from that, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So really focus on practicing self-compassion, and using I statements was another one. I am, or I feel. And that's something that I learned to do years ago because that was when I started to learn that my emotions lead me a lot. While I know a lot of people are led by, their minds, I am most definitely driven by my heart. And even though, I have I've stopped listening to it, I am still in touch with it because of how strong my emotions can be sometimes. So I know that I am an emotionally led being, and I am learning how to lead with love instead of leading with fear. Both of those are emotions that I tend to hold in, what is it, in a great quantities, and yet we're having problems with them. Oh my God, is that the King of Pentacles that just popped out? I love me. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and close so that I can get back to being proud of myself, and so that you guys can get back to being proud of yourself, because I'm proud of you too, especially if you clicked in and stayed this entire time with my motor mouth. But to close, I am learning how to set my own boundaries, and I am beginning to realize that this podcast is a lot more emotional and spiritual and mental work than I originally thought. My dumbass thought that I could just get on here, say some things, and not actually have to go through them. But as I'm going through these episodes, I'm realizing that I am literally physically going through these things in my life right now in real time. And to know that I am taking that step has made me so proud. And I'm crying a little bit because, like I said, so proud. We're gonna go ahead and get off now, for real. Like, that's like the 5th time I said it. Okay, bye. Y'all have great days. Be safe. Drink water. Oh my God, because I've got like 2 bottles right here that I'm almost done with. And some tea behind me. Drink water. Eat nourishing food. Go put your feet in some grass. Get off of Instagram. Love yourselves first. First, always. Love your boundaries. And comment. Let me know, what are some tough boundaries for y'all to set? Are there any boundaries that you've wanted to set with people and you just haven't been able to? Are there past problems or situations or people that you have just wanted to go back and say, hey, remember that time that you set a boundary with me and I didn't take it so well? Yeah, I understand now. Like, just leave me anything. Okay. Bye. And I will see y'all next week. And I'll probably have more energy than this. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Okay. Bye.